Hello and welcome. You're watching Your Trades on ET now with me, Snehi Shan. With me today is Shreyansi Singh. Shreyansi, what a day for the markets. Nothing and absolutely nothing to complain about when it comes to our moves today. Brilliant moves coming in for the Nifty, crossing 24,000 for the first time ever. You have Nifty, Sensex, all of them advancing for the third consecutive day in a row. Sensex too has crossed 79,000 for the first time today. So stellar moves coming in across both of those indices. A key fact and very fun fact to note is Nifty took only 23 sessions to go from 23,000 to 24,000. So stellar rally that we've been seeing over the last month or so. When you look at broader markets, a mid-cap index largely in tandem with what the benchmarks were doing, higher by almost 0.3%. However, it was the small cap index that was deeply under pressure today, more than 0.6% lower coming for the Nifty small cap. The only hiccup, I would rather say, when it comes to the market moves today, and Nifty Bank also, if you can pull up and see what Nifty Bank has ended the day with. Nifty Bank slightly in the red, marginally pressured, 0.1% cut coming on that front as well. So barring Nifty Bank and small cap indices, your mid cap, your Nifty 50 as well as Sensex have done phenomenally well today. VIX has also slightly cooled off towards the end of the trading session. Now, when you take a look at sectorally what's been up, Nifty IT has been your biggest winner today. Very stellar moves coming in over there. Wipro, persistent, you have those stocks leading the pack. You had a note coming on HCL Tech, so that stock has also done decently well today. Multiple block deals were on India Cement today, and that is why both UltraTech and India Cements were in focus. India Cements has ended the day with a gain of more than 12%, UltraTech higher by 5.5%. So very stellar moves coming in on both those fronts. Before we move on with what else we were spotting, I'd like to mark a couple of stocks more that were buzzing in today's trading session. You had Root Mobile up 16%, KC International did pretty well. You had Max Health, PI Industries, Policy Bazaar, JSW Energy, Indus Tower. Lots of stocks that did phenomenally well in today's trading session. However, on the flip side too, you had a whole host of stocks that were in the red today, and Deepak Fertilizers 6% lower. You had Archean Chemical 5% lower, Equitas, Fact, Suntech, Chambal, PCBL. You have all of these stocks that have ended the day in the red. But while this is in a nutshell what we made of market moves today, Shreyansi, what stood out to you and what were you spotting?
Well, absolutely. So, in addition to the counters that you mentioned, Snehi, if you take a look at LTI Mindtree, or if you take a look at Wipro as well, you saw quite some gains coming in there as well. They held up quite well. So did a TCS. And so did a DRL. But barring all of that, let's also take a look at some of the other players that were in focus today. So when you take a look at Whirlpool, that one was in focus on account of German engineering group Robert Bosch weighing a bid for US appliances manufacturer Whirlpool, according to a report, and this move would be boosting its position in the household appliances market. So on account of that position getting bolstered, you did have Whirlpool that was doing quite well. Let's also take a look at an ET Now exclusive, and GST relief might be coming in for insurance companies, the likes of ICICI Lombard as well as New India Assurance. The Department of Revenue clarifies about taxability on salvage value and says if salvage is deducted from claims, it's the insured's property, not the insurers. That was the clarification coming in, eliminating GST liability for insurers. Remember, ICICI Lombard had earlier received a 270 crore GST notice, which will be void. So that was an important move coming in there as well. Meanwhile, the centre is also mulling major reform in the aviation sector and learning a lesson from the recent Go First airline crisis. The Union Civil Aviation Ministry, in consultation with the Ministry of Law and Justice, may soon be drafting a law that will bring a reform in the aviation sector. In fact, sources also tell your channel that the proposed law will be in accordance with the Cape Town Convention, and in case of insolvency cases in India, it will supersede the IBC as well. So that was an important development coming in there as well. Those were largely the things that we were looking at, but one could really not be able to take their eyes away from the market and what we saw with the Nifty Bank as well as Sensex. Now we have Kunal Bothra joining us to tell us a little more about what he makes of the space as well.
Well, yeah, I think it was a fabulous expiry, Shreyansi, because we started off, the month of June with a lot of, I would say, anticipation regarding what could probably transpire in the elections. The start was pretty good. The indices made a fresh high at the 23,000 mark, but then came that one single day where we saw a very sharp crack. Now, from there, the markets have been completely two-tone because in the earlier visions, the markets were a lot more volatile. Recently, I think the last 10, 12 days or 15 days of the market recovery from that election day low, I think we've gone through a different trend altogether. The indices have been a lot more stable. Great participation, which has come back into sectors. So right from the underperforming names like IT, underperforming names like private sector banking stocks, metals, fertilizers, sugar, etc. I think there have been so many sectors which have participated quite well. So all in all, it's a fabulous end to a fantastic series of June, and we can just hope and expect that resemblance of very similar kind of trends could probably persist going into the July series also.
All right, so optimism ahead is what you are penciling in for our markets going ahead. Kunal, thanks for taking us through that and sharing your views. But tell us, amid all of this rally that we are seeing as of now, how would you play the markets right now? What would stand out to you in a market like this, and what are your picks today?
Buy call. Siemens is something which has started to look attractive on the charts. So my anticipation is that the stock is completing a bullish flag formation. The risk reward is also attractive to look at a trade at current levels. So would look out for targets in the range of 7,900 for Siemens, stop loss at 7,600, and PVR Inox, apparently a stock which for the first time had shown a consistent recovery throughout the June series, has ended at almost a multi-week high for itself at the 1470 plus mark. So would suggest a buy on PVR Inox, expecting the July series also to be more stronger going forward. Targets of 1600, stop loss to be kept at 1400.
Kunal, for taking time out and joining us today. It was very heartening to see that your picks were not L&T as well as SBI that you're usually bullish on, but they were Siemens as well as PVR Inox. Let's move on then, and it's that time of the show where we highlight breakout and breakdown counters, and we have Srishti who's standing by with that update. Srishti?
Well, indeed, the markets are at a record high level. So both the counters are on the breakout side. The stocks which have seen great moves, and one of them in the first up is NTPC on the charts, because the power space was doing decently well in today's trading session. And NTPC, why we have spotted this counter on the breakout side? Because the stock did manage to make a strong green candle for itself. It started on a lower footing, on a muted action for the day, but throughout the day it did build on to the gains and ended the day with the gains of almost 4%. If we talk about the bounce exactly happening from its 20-day moving average, another reason why we did pick out this counter on the breakout is the removal of the resistance, or the stock managed to cross its resistance of 370 odd rupees. So that was the first stock. We're moving on to the next counter then, and Manappuram Finance is our next counter. Though the stock did see a move of 7%, but on the weekly chart we did see that the stock has made a phenomenal run up, and this is a long time breakout that we are seeing on Manappuram Finance, because back in November 2021, almost three years back, the stock did touch these levels, and once again, though it is in the uptrend on the weekly chart as well, and every time has been taking a support at its 20-day moving average, but today's move was quite fantastic, crossed above that 200 odd resistance level, but a decisive move coming in for Manappuram Finance, and today's move was also supported by a long build up. So these are the two stocks on the breakout side. Back to you.
All right, Srishti, thanks for flagging out both of those stocks on the break outside. But let's move on, talk about the word from the wise today, and that happens to be Dheeraj Agarwal today, and he talks about select mid-cap IT names. Remember, IT was a big gainer in today's trading session. He believes select mid-cap IT names will continue to outperform large peers, and this is what he had to say. Listen into what else is he talking about when it comes to sectors, where he's bullish and where he's cautious on. Listen in.
Few mid-cap names, or number of mid-cap smaller names are displaying better growth characteristics as compared to the large caps. And they have done better, and I think they may continue to do better going forward as well. One niche sector which has been doing very well, which can perhaps continue to do well, is EPC, construction infrastructure, right? So that's one space where competition really came down after the previous cycle. So in the previous capex cycle of 2003-07, there were a huge number of EPC companies and competing viciously against each other. And many of them just died because they overextended their balance sheets or just became too weak to compete. So at this point of time, that space has lesser number of competitors left. I mean, auto has had a fantastic run over the last 1 or 2 years. And I'm generally slightly cautious on anything which has had a fantastic run over the last 2 years. Nothing to do with the earnings outlook or fundamentals, but simply because they've run too hard, too strong. Valuations are a bit overstretched, and everything corrects, everything consolidates. I think it's time for a bit of a consolidation.
All right, then that was a word coming in from Dheeraj Agarwal, and that is where he sees value emerging. He sees select mid-cap IT names as important, and that is where he sees value. And he's cautious on auto, but with that, we're timed out of this segment. We'll see you on the other side with the Derivators Roundup.
Hi there, welcome back. Still watching your trades on ET now. Let's quickly take a look at what the derivative space was shaping up to look like today. And for the index futures trend for the 4th of July expiry, long build up seen on both Nifty and Bank Nifty. So very positive sentiment being built over there. India VIX at 14.1 was as high as 2% in the entire day, but just minutes before closing has dropped nominally and okay, pardon me, India VIX has closed with an uptick and 14.15 is where India VIX is at. Moving on to active calls then for the 4th of July expiry, call buying seen at 24,000 and 24,100, so slight bit of an uptick seen over there. Active puts on the flip side, put writing being seen at 23,900 and 23,800, making 23,900 the support level to watch out for. Very interesting because Monday your support level was 22,400. By Wednesday we reached 22,600 and today all of a sudden that support has been pushed up to 23,900. So optimism is what is being penciled in on the street right now.
Well, absolutely, and optimism is being penciled in on the street, but let's also take a look at our big story of the day, and it was UltraTech that was cementing good gains in today's trading session. Big consolidation in the works in the cement space. UltraTech is set to acquire about 23% stake in India Cements as competition heats up in the space. Somit is standing by with more details on the contours of the deal. Somit?
Well, from the UltraTech India Cement deal, we need to understand firstly the fact that we all knew that India Cement is on the block given the fact that their plants are old, their operational efficiency was on the lower side and they always faced working capital issues and their debt is also a bit on the high side. Now, because of this, we all knew that India Cement was on the block, but this deal that UltraTech has done is they are not infusing any funds into India Cement, so nothing changes actually for India Cement because of this acquisition. And UltraTech has also classified this acquisition as a financial acquisition. Now, they are doing this acquisition at a price of around 267 rupees, which leads to a total cash outflow of around 1800 to 1900 crore rupees, which is not a big amount actually for UltraTech Cement. And the deal value, if you look at the EV per ton value, has been pegged at around $91, which is pretty much in line with the current value of India Cement. But given the fact that the stock has run up around 20-25% in the last few days, it is kind of expensive coming in for UltraTech at this value. Now, do remember that UltraTech has a pan-India market share of around 23%, but the share of the southern region is much lower for UltraTech Cement. And given the fact that India Cement is a much stronger player in the southern region, if at all UltraTech in future plans to acquire this company fully, it will strengthen UltraTech's position in the southern market. But at this moment, they're not acquiring India Cement fully. They're just taking a financial acquisition of 23% stake in India Cement, and they have done this at a value of around 267 rupees per share.
Right, that stakes block deal coming in for India Cement via UltraTech is the biggest news of the day. But let's keep it going with the discussion around cement. And Rakesh Arora, Go India Advisors, spoke to us about UltraTech's acquisition of India Cements, the stake acquisition, and he also discussed the likely impact of this move. Listen in to what he had to say.
So see, both Adani and UltraTech have been, trying to gain market share. And so consolidation in the cement industry has been, ongoing process now. Particularly in South India, there's been a lot of stress. And because of overcapacity and cement prices were not remunerative enough. So companies like India Cement were making losses. So it is a matter of time that, these guys get consolidated by the larger players. Though I'm a little bit surprised by this deal, given that this is not UltraTech style. They normally go for a majority and a full consolidation. So we have to wait and see who is the seller. If the seller is a large shareholder in that India Cement, then probably it is an exit to him.
There was a word coming in from Rakesh Arora and about that deal that was a surprise, especially for the stock, a positive one at that, with that 5% plus uptick coming in for UltraTech. But let's move on then. And German engineering group Robert Bosch is weighing a bid for US appliances manufacturer Whirlpool. According to a report, this move would bolster its position in the household appliances market. Somit is standing by with more details on that as well. Somit.
Well, so far it's a Reuters report, but if this deal actually goes through, then why Bosch might be interested in Whirlpool, because Whirlpool is one of the world's biggest consumer durable manufacturer, and Bosch is also looking to beef up its home appliances segment. The competitive intensity is increasing in this segment globally, and if you look at globally, Whirlpool has a market share of nearly 10%, and in US market they have a market share of close to 25%, while Bosch has a market share of just 1.5 to 2 odd %. So definitely this acquisition will boost Bosch's market share not only globally but also in the US market as well. Apart from that, if you see, Whirlpool is also struggling with slowdown in growth. They had to cut jobs to boost profitability, and they're also undergoing a restructuring process where they have divested their stake in the European operation, Middle Eastern operation, and also in the African business. A few months back, in fact, if you see, the Whirlpool Global had also sold around 24% stake in the Indian unit. Now, can Bosch actually do this acquisition? Looking at the cash balance as of 31st December 2023, it does not appear to be a tall task for them, because the cash balance stood at close to 7,443 million euros, while Whirlpool's market capitalization stands at close to 5,000 million euros. So it's not a tall task for Bosch if at all they plan to acquire this unit. Now, both these companies, that is Bosch and Whirlpool, have their Indian units which are listed, and if you see at this listed unit, Bosch gets around 10% of its revenue from this consumer durable unit, and around 9% contribution comes in to the EBIT front. Neck to neck, if you see, Bosch and Whirlpool are a strong competitor when it comes to the automatic washing machine segment, where Bosch has a market share of 10% and Whirlpool has a market share of 8%. But if you consider the semi-automatic segment, also the total market share in the washing machine segment, Whirlpool is higher at around 12 odd %. In refrigerator and AC, Whirlpool has a market share of close to 14% and 2 odd %. Financially, Bosch gets around 1,600 crore of revenue annually from the consumer durable segment, while Whirlpool has a revenue of close to 6,800 crore. The EBIT margins of Whirlpool are lower at around 3%, while that of Bosch stands at around 11%, while the 12-month forward valuation for Whirlpool is around 59 times, while that of Bosch is around 43 times. So that's most likely the contours of the deal, if it could happen globally, and also India-wise, how both these units look like.
All right, Somit, thanks for that. Whirlpool has ended the day with 8% an uptick, but we learned from sources that the power sector is set to witness mega announcements, a 50,000 megawatt word transmission project, and lots more lined up at the upcoming budget. Let's go across to Prakash Priyadarshi, who has more details about what the budget may hold for the power sector. Prakash.
Yes, we are learning from our sources that the government is likely to make some announcement for the power sector in the upcoming budget. We are given to understand that the government may announce a 50,000 megawatt capacity of the transmission projects, and the financial support would be provided by the government. Sources are informing that this is going to be part of the wider plan of the government for the evacuation of 500 gigawatt capacity of renewable energy projects by the year 2030. In addition to that, sources are also informing that the 4,000 megawatt capacity of pump storage projects are likely to be given approval by the government. Along with that, we are also given to understand that the Power Ministry has recommended to launch a new hydro policy for the promotion of hydro projects across the country, and a special financial package is likely to be provided for the promotion of hydro projects located in Northeast region.
All right, thanks Prakash for that update coming in. We have Jinay, who's also standing by with an update and a list of stocks that were buzzing in today's trading session. Jinay?
Well, yes, so starting off with JSW Energy, the company's wholly owned subsidiary signed in PPA for wind and solar projects with a cumulative capacity of about 1,325 megawatts. Next up is KC International. The company secured orders worth around 1,025 crores in their T&D and cable businesses. Next up is Root Mobile. We saw company buzzing up with the gains of over 10%. So Microsoft and Proximus Group, which is a parent company of Root Mobile, signed a new strategic partnership for collaboration on digital communication and cloud. Next up is PI Industries. So the board has approved the offer for acquisition of Plant Healthcare, which is by the wholly owned subsidiary of the company, for a cash consideration of about 33 euro millions. And lastly, Datamatics will be in focus. As company has received certifications for AI management systems, the company becomes one of the earlier receivers for this same.
Janai, thanks so much for taking us through that. That's a list of all the buzzers that were catching eyes in today's trading session. But viewers, on that note, we're completely timed out on this edition of Your Trades. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time at 3:30. Thanks so much for watching.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.